Hi, everybody. This is Aunt Carol.
And I'm Uncle Dan. And we both welcome you with open arms. We're so glad you've joined us for our program today. What do you have planned for us, Aunt Carol?
Well, if you'll remember, we've been presenting a series on the life of Thomas Jefferson, and this is the last installment.
That's right. Let's see now. At the end of our last program, Thomas Jefferson, he was Vice President of the United States, and John Adams was President.
As you recall, they represented different political parties. John Adams was a Federalist, and Jefferson was a Republican. It all had to do with the way in which the President and Vice President were selected in those days.
I do remember that now that you mention it.
They were both great Americans, and both had played key roles in securing American independence from British rule. Also, they'd been good friends through the years. But now, things weren't going so well.
So let's get back to them, Aunt Carol. What do you say?
All right. I call this story The Third President. During the 4-year presidency of John Adams, Vice President Thomas Jefferson was uncomfortable with a number of policies put into place by Adams, one of which was the Alien and Sedition Act of 1798. This act was intended by Adams to increase national security, but was viewed by Jefferson and his party as trying to block the free speech of those not agreeing with the policies of government. Thomas and his friend James Madison discussed the situation.
You know, James, I have serious doubts that it's legal for Congress to have passed such a law. It is in direct opposition to the First Amendment, which guarantees the freedom of speech.
Yes, and Adams even has a list of people that it's illegal to speak out against.
This brings America very close to tyranny, if its citizens are not allowed to speak their minds.
And yet Adams is cheered as a hero wherever he goes. Bands play, flags wave, cannons are fired.
They cheer his efforts to protect America. They seem not to realize how little he trusts the common man and how he cuts down their civil liberties. At any rate, I am a great believer in states' rights. Perhaps there will be individual states that will oppose these actions.
As Adams' term of office began to draw to a close, the opposing Republican Party put Thomas Jefferson forth as their candidate, with Aaron Burr running as vice president. Many vicious rumors were circulated.
Listen to this. Right here in the Connecticut Current.
Our own Hartford newspaper?
Yes. They say here that if Jefferson is elected, murder and robbery, and the list goes on, will all be openly taught and practiced.
That's completely outrageous.
Not only outrageous, my dear, but untrue. Just like the rumors that have been spreading that Jefferson doesn't believe in God.
Oh, that Jefferson's dead?
Ha! They're just trying to keep people from voting in a Republican.
In truth, accusations flew from both sides. However, when the election was over, Adams and his party lost, and Jefferson was eventually declared the winner. On March 4, 1801, he took his oath of office, the first president to have been sworn in at the new Capitol building. The construction of Washington, D.C., first known as Federal City, had begun in 1790, and both the President's House, known today as the White House, and the Capitol building were still under construction at this time. At any rate, the words Thomas Jefferson spoke at his inaugural speech were meant to help pull the country back together.
Every difference of opinion is not a difference of principle. We are all Republicans. We are all Federalists.
And as if in answer to the accusations that he was an atheist, he concluded his address with these words.
And may that infinite power which rules the destinies of the universe lead our counsels to what is best.
Jefferson's presidency was in contrast to that of Washington and Adams, both of whom retained some of the traditional formalities that were more associated with royalty. Jefferson, however, scuffed about the president's house in slippers and didn't dress in elegant, formal attire for cabinet meetings or parties. And he immediately tried to change what he considered to be mistakes of the previous administration. He repealed taxes and pardoned people imprisoned under the Alien and Sedition Acts. Then, within 2 months, he faced his first international crisis.
I've called this cabinet meeting because of the situation off the Barbary Coast in Africa. As you know, for years, pirates have been capturing ships and holding them and their crew members for ransom, including American ships. I have ordered a squadron of naval vessels to be ready to set sail for Tripoli in response, so I now seek your counsel. shall the squadron now at Norfolk be ordered to cruise in the Mediterranean?
This is the first time for such an action, but I say yes.
But would our ships be authorized to destroy enemy vessels?
Certainly if they are attacked.
Are we agreed then? When under attack, the captains of our ships have the right to destroy enemy vessels.
And as Commander-in-Chief of our forces, you have the right to deploy the squadrons to defend our ships.
Next came a critical decision about the vast Louisiana Territory. This huge area stretched from New Orleans north to what is now Minnesota, west to include all the land over to what is now Montana, and south again to parts of present-day New Mexico and Texas. Although the territory belonged to Spain, Spain had been weakened by various wars, and it was on the verge of handing the land back to France. Jefferson discussed the situation with James Madison.
Mr. Madison has arrived, Mr. President.
Thank you, Merriweather. Send him in.
Mr. President?
James, come in. Have a seat. And how are you this morning, my friend?
Very well, thank you, but you look a bit troubled.
Perhaps. As you know, I've already contacted Robert Livingston, our minister to France, to convey our desire to secure the Louisiana Territory for the United States.
Yes, France has emerged again as a world power.
And as such, we definitely do not need France on our doorstep.
I understand completely. France would control the entrance to the Mississippi at New Orleans.
And all the land beyond.
True. So, am I correct in thinking that if the territory were handed to France, we might have to form an alliance with the British in order to keep France at bay? They are, after all, each gearing up for war against the other.
That is precisely my worry. We both know what a nightmare that would be, England being so recent an enemy, and what if England were to win?
Once again, we would be in danger of their surrounding us.
So, James, it is my hope that Napoleon can be convinced to sell the Louisiana Territory to us, even though this plan may represent a stretch of my presidential power. Anyway, I'm counting on the possibility that money will speak very loudly to France just now.
Especially since they will need funding for the impending war.
Exactly. So I've written to our colleague James Monroe. I'm sending him to Paris to assist Livingston in negotiations.
Let us hope for their complete success.
In the end, Napoleon did indeed agree to sell the Louisiana Territory to the United States, and for the somewhat modest sum of $15 million. Word of the treaty reached Jefferson on July 3, 1803, and was published in the news on the 4th of July. This was perhaps the largest land purchase in history, and an amazing stroke of good fortune for the United States, which more than doubled the size of the country. Jefferson had a keen interest in these vast lands and had already begun planning for an exploration party to traverse the area to record its geography.
Come in. Ah, Merriweather.
Here's the information on the polygraph, sir.
Yes, thank you. Ingenious device, don't you think?
Very ingenious. You know, Mr. President, usually the duties of the personal secretary to the president include letter writing. I am more than willing, but...
Yes, I know. I prefer to write my own letters. However, with this device, I can move one of the pens to write and look here at the drawing.
Yes, I see. When you move one pen, the other attached pen will move with it and make a copy of what you're writing.
Exactly. Very clever, eh? I'll be able to keep a copy and send the original to its intended recipient. And you, my friend?
What are you thinking, sir?
I have something in mind for you far more interesting than letter writing or even greeting guests to the White House.
Oh?
Do you remember some time ago when I was able to convince Congress to allocate funds for an exploration party into the West?
Yes, $2,500 if I remember correctly.
And no doubt you remember all of our own discussions about this territory, the mountain ranges, the vast grasslands,
Yes.
and the great rivers, both the Mississippi and the Missouri.
And the idea of setting up commerce with the Indians, or even finding a possible water passage to the Pacific.
Yes! So, my friend, I think there is no better man to head up the expedition than yourself. Meriwether Lewis.
Oh, sir,
Now, my friend, you are precisely the right person. I know this enterprise is safe in your hands.
Well, It'll take months to prepare, Mr. President. We'll need supplies, boats, personnel.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I'll need assistance, a co-leader. I know just the man. William Clark. I served with him in the Army.
Excellent. I'll draw up a list of objectives and instructions.
And I'll begin immediately to pull all of the supplies and equipment together.
In the spring of 1804, Meriwether Lewis and William Clark launched their Corps of Discovery expedition. Excitement over that endeavor, along with approval for the Louisiana Purchase, propelled Jefferson into a very positive light with his countrymen. In spite of the problems caused by the last-minute appointments that John Adams had made in an attempt to overload key positions with members of his party, and in spite of negative criticisms by the Federalists, Jefferson's first term of office was successful and generally quite popular. In addition, he hosted frequent dinner parties at what we now call the White House, many of which were designed to help him become better acquainted with members of Congress.
Ah, Senator Plumer. Delicious dessert. This ice cream, as they call it.
Indeed, Senator. You know, I understand that over the course of these months, every senator has been invited to the President's house for dinner.
Yes, and some several times. Yourself, for example.
I have been honored, Senator, yes, as you say. The President, it seems, desires to stay well informed on the issues. I find him to be very knowledgeable on nearly every subject, in fact, from natural history to religion, mathematics, politics, world affairs, science, the national debt.
Yes, I understand he speaks 6 languages. Oh, look there, he's standing.
And now, my colleagues, I present to you a treat made possible by the generosity of a congregation in Cheshire, Massachusetts.
Oh, the cheese.
As some of you may know, they presented me with the largest round of cheese that can ever be imagined.
That was 2 years ago.
And I have chosen to share this fine gift with all my guests. So may you enjoy it, as many have done before you.
When the cheese is passed, my friend, take care.
Take care?
Yes, the cheese is far from good. Take my word for it. But it was a well-meant gesture, which, by the way, the President ended up paying for out of his own pocket.
Oh?
Yes. He wanted to make sure that no one could think that his favor was being bought. What you are about to sample is a piece of the President's 1,200-pound cheese. He's still trying to get rid of it after 2 years.
In spite of Jefferson's popularity and political savvy, however, the attacks by the press continued. And his saddest moment occurred when his youngest daughter, Maria Jefferson Epps, or Polly, died unexpectedly. He received condolences from Abigail Adams, the wife of John Adams, since she had formed a close relationship with Polly when the girl was young. Thomas wrote back and tried to repair the relationship between himself and the Adamses, but to no avail. Much political damage had been done between them, and the time for healing had not come. His second term of office began well. However...
Aha. It looks as if our efforts to secure an agreement with the Barbary pirates has been successful after all. And very good. All of the Americans being held have been ransomed. Excellent news.
Then in 1806, Meriwether Lewis and William Clark returned from their expedition. While they hadn't discovered a waterway to the Pacific with an easy portage of the Missouri River, they did triumphantly return with a vast array of maps and reports on the geography, natural history, plants, animals, and inhabitants of the region that were of great interest to the scientific community and to the President.
And now, Mr. President, we are honored to present you with these choice animal pelts. Specimens of just some of the many animals we encountered on our expedition.
Why, these are wonderful. I shall display them here at the President's house and also at Monticello. Gentlemen, I hardly need to emphasize what a service you have performed for this country. I hope your expedition will help to eventually secure the entire Northwest for the United States of America.
In spite of the bright moments, however, Jefferson's second term was less satisfying than the first. Political infighting, disagreement over his attempts to acquire Florida for the United States, scandals revolving around Aaron Burr, who had been his vice president during his first term, and the challenges he faced as he dealt with problems caused by the war between England and France all took their toll. By the time his last days in office neared, he was weary and eager to get back to the private life at Monticello. He wrote to one of his friends,
Never did a prisoner released from his chains feel such relief as I shall on shaking off the shackles of power.
Always torn between his duty to country and his love of being a gentleman farmer, Thomas Jefferson felt that his time had come to enjoy the latter. After witnessing the inauguration of his friend and colleague James Madison as president, Thomas left Washington and headed home. Throughout the years of retirement from public office, he continued his passion for renovating Monticello. In fact, improvements and changes to the central building and surroundings became a never-ending endeavor. And he pursued his many interests, such as music, botany, astronomy, carpentry, and he also loved tinkering with novel projects.
There. Now, I just attach the cannonball weight here. Aha! It is finished. My cannonball clock that not only tells the time of day, but registers each day as the week goes by.
Unfortunately, because of the heavy debt which he had inherited and which evolved from managing Monticello, his beloved estate was always on the edge of financial disaster. However, not forgetting his public duty, Thomas also functioned as a source of wisdom and advice for both Presidents James Madison and James Monroe. In addition, when the British entered Washington, D.C. during the War of 1812 and burned several key buildings, including the Library of Congress, Thomas offered to sell his extensive personal library to the United States to replace the loss.
Ah, yes, this one. A special favorite of mine. I remember the little bookshop in Paris where
Father!
In here, Patsy, dear.
Ah, there you are. Almost done, I see. Where are the servants to help you pack your library?
Now, don't worry. I just gave them a little break. You know I'm going to miss these volumes. I've spent years collecting them.
Oh, I know. Even when we were in Europe.
Yes. And each one is like a dear old friend of mine.
And just how many friends are you packing up for Washington, Father?
6,487 to be exact.
Oh, I see. Well, if I know you, you'll just start collecting all over again. I don't think you can live without books, Father.
Perhaps. Of course, I'm keeping a few volumes on classical literature for my own enjoyment, and this one.
Your little Bible?
My special edition. I've clipped passages from the four Gospels that I believe represent the purest philosophy and teachings of Jesus, pasted them in this little book in chronological order.
Oh, I know. You carry it with you always.
Indeed I do, my dear. Right here in my pocket. Anyway, the money that I'll receive for the rest of my collection, nearly $24,000, will help pay some of the outstanding bills. I do want to be able to bequeath Monticello to my heirs. In the meantime, I love having you and all your family living with me here.
All 11 grandchildren?
Every single one. I am the most fortunate of grandfathers.
Perhaps the accomplishment of which Thomas was most proud during his post-presidential years was that of establishing a new university. For many years, he'd been in favor of some type of free public education and the establishment of schools that were not tied to any particular religion. At that time, most of the universities had been founded by various religious groups, including Yale, Harvard, and Virginia's own William and Mary. In 1818, the Virginia legislature placed Jefferson as chairman of a commission whose job it was to set the guidelines for a new college for which he had campaigned.
It is our aim, gentlemen, to establish an institution based on religious liberty for all, one which will produce statesmen, legislators, and judges to assist the public, an institution which will teach the principles and structure of government, advance the arts and sciences, promote the interests of agriculture, and develop the reasoning powers, character, and virtues of our youth to ensure their happiness.
Not only did Jefferson set the educational goals for the college, which became the University of Virginia, but he also produced the architectural plans for the buildings and the layout of the campus. One other happy development gave Thomas much pleasure in his senior years, the reestablishment of his friendship with John Adams. The two former presidents resumed a heartwarming correspondence between themselves starting in January of 1812 that left an extensive record of their involvement in and the political thought surrounding the establishment of the United States. In response to one letter he received from Adams, Jefferson penned these words:
"A letter from you calls up recollections very dear to my mind. It carries me back to the times when, beset with difficulties and dangers, we were fellow laborers in the same cause, struggling for what is most valuable to man, his right of self-government. Laboring always at the same oar, with some wave ever ahead threatening to overwhelm us, and yet passing harmless under our bark we knew not how, we rode through the storm with heart and hand and made a happy port."
As the years rolled by, the United States, although beset by many challenges, continued to offer to its citizens that same happy port, the freedoms that were so dearly established by the efforts of the Founding Fathers. And then, on July 4th, 1826, exactly 50 years to the day that the Continental Congress had approved the words of the Declaration of Independence, both its author, Thomas Jefferson, age 83, and his friend, John Adams, age 90, lay on their deathbeds. Just the night before, at about 7 o'clock in the evening, Jefferson surfaced from unconsciousness to ask,
"Is it the 4th?"
His doctor answered that indeed it soon would be, and the next day at about noon, on the 4th of July, Thomas Jefferson breathed his last. That same afternoon, just before his own death, John Adams uttered these last words:
"Thomas Jefferson survives."
Little did he know that his friend and fellow Lion of Liberty had already passed away. Sadly, Thomas Jefferson had not been able to accomplish all that he wished. Encumbered by debt, Monticello had to be sold through a lottery, so he could not pass it on to his family. His lifelong attempts to curb and finally abolish the institution of slavery had failed, and although his own slaves were considered property tied to Monticello, he was able to free just a handful of them at his death. But in spite of his disappointments, the spirit and determination of this amazing patriot live on today and continue to have a positive impact on the life of every American. His assertion in the Declaration of Independence that we hold these truths, that each man has certain unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, ring through the years to touch our lives and our hearts, even in our modern, global, 21st century world.